Hello friends, the 576th day of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Today, September 22, in the afternoon, the missile attack on Crimea was completed. Information about the first wave of shelling of Crimea was disseminated by the Russian Minister of Defense. According to the Russian department, today at 10:30 am, Ukraine attacked Crimea with missiles and drones. At this time, the Sevastopol fleet was covered with a smoke screen. It was noted that air defense shot down 1 missile and 2 drones off the west coast. Later, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, information about the work of air defense was again broadcast on local telegram channels. This time, the Russian appointed authorities reported a specific location, a missile strike on the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet. Soon, footage from the scene appeared. This is what the building looked like before the attack. Current footage shows that a hole appeared in the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet after the arrival. According to townspeople, the blast wave was crazy. A column of smoke formed above the headquarters. After arrival, the debris was scattered over hundreds of meters. Russian media reported the traffic in the city center was blocked, and many ambulances headed to the arrival site.
My friend the robot will continue. The Russian Defense Ministry said air defenses shot down 5 missiles during the attack. 1 military death was reported. According to local telegram channels, 6 victims are known. In the Russian media, the development of the topic was the message that during the missile attack on Sevastopol, a reconnaissance Boeing P-88 Poseidon of the U.S. Navy was in the skies over the Black Sea. This allegedly followed from data from the flight tracking portal Flight Radar. He was in the air and flying around for several hours. Later, the commander of the Ukrainian Air Force, Mikolaj Urshalovich, thanked the Ukrainian pilots. We promise that to be continued. Therefore, while the occupiers are coming to their senses in Melitopol and in Sevastopol, air raid signals are still being heard, I will once again thank the pilots of the Air Force. Sevastopol is the city of the Naval Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Together to victory, he wrote. Also, the General Staff of Ukraine confirms the attack on the headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol. Thus, it can be stated that the attack was carried out by British Storm Shadow missiles, which are launched from aircraft. In turn, the Russians have been attacking energy facilities in Ukraine for 2 weeks, Prime Minister Shmyhal said. Although Ukrenergo reported that yesterday there were the first strikes in the last 6 months. We understand that the stage of energy terror in this heating season has already begun. We see this in the destruction of infrastructure, production, pumping, storage of fuel. We see this in the first attacks on regional energy substations in the last 2 weeks, Shmyhal said at the Regional Economic Forum. According to him, Ukraine has not yet felt these blows because it is better prepared for them than a year ago. We are much more prepared and stronger than we were last year. Therefore, I am convinced that we will get through this difficult winter together. It will certainly be a difficult winter, definitely not easier, but we are definitely better prepared for it, the Prime Minister said. In the Kharkiv direction, the Russians are strengthening their forward units in the Kupiansk and Lyman sectors, according to Mikolaj Urshalovich, a spokesman for the National Guard. According to him, the assault and tank forces are being re-equipped, and the Russians are also building passages in their own mine-explosive barriers, which, apparently, indicates plans to attack through them. Pro-Russian experts of ATACMS, having analyzed recent video materials, refute the presence of Russians in the northern part of Klishchiivka. According to them, the video shows the Russian army shelling the positions of the Ukrainian army in the village, which confirms the presence of Ukrainian forces in the northern part of Klishchiivka. On the southern front, Ukrainian armed forces again repelled Russian counterattacks in the Robotyne area, the General Staff reported. Russian telegram channels write that these attacks are being carried out on the flanks of Ukrainian troops advancing towards Novodonetske to the south and Verbovy to the east. In turn, Ukrainian military telegram channels write about the advance of the Ukrainian armed forces south of Robotyne, and also that on another section of the southern front, the Vremivka salient, the Ukrainian army was forced to retreat from the village of Novomaiorske, which it stormed a week ago. This is how the Ukrainian telegram channel Deep State describes the situation in this locality. Both attempts to fly in and occupy a village that is located in the lowland ended with a retreat to their original positions. In general, Novodonetske and Novomaiorske are real damned villages. Last year there were a couple of attempts to occupy them and all were unsuccessful. Over the summer there were again several attempts and still unsuccessful. And here we go again. Besides, staying in these villages, which are located in the lowlands, is a real hell, writes Deep State. The Russians also continue to counterattack in the south of Bakhmut, trying to regain lost positions, said General Staff Speaker Andriy Kovalev. In addition to attacks northeast of Andriivka, he spoke about Russian attacks in a new direction west of Zaitsevi. Which Zaitsevi is not specified. There are two villages with the same name near Bakhmut, both are located east of the Bakhmut-Gorliivka road. Closer to the front line is Zaitsevi near Gorliivka, not Bakhmut. At the same time, Zaitsevi near Bakhmut is located east of the recently liberated, but no longer virtually existing Klishchiivka. Considering that the Russians, judging by yesterday's reports from the Ukrainian armed forces, tried to counterattack in the Klishchiivka area, it is possible that they were coming from the direction of Zaitsevi. By the way, Russian telegram channels confirmed the attack of their troops near Klishchiivka. But, according to their version, Andriivka and most of Klishchiivka are in a gray zone and due to constant shelling, neither side can gain a foothold there for a long time. Meanwhile, pro-Russian ATACMS experts report that after the return of Klishchiivka, the Ukrainian army launched small offensives north of the city and near the railway. In general, on the southern flank of Bakhmut, the Russians are now building their defense along the railway. This is confirmed by the speaker of the Eastern Group, Yevhenii, who reports that heavy fighting is taking place in the area of the railway. The railway is under constant fire both from them and from us. It cannot be said that the Russians directly and completely control the railway. However, we are also trying to gain a foothold in order to completely dislodge the occupiers. Meanwhile, Zelensky said that Ukraine would liberate Bakhmut and two other cities. We will deoccupy Bakhmut. I think that we will deoccupy two more cities. I won't say which cities, sorry. And that's why we have a plan. A very, very comprehensive plan, the Ukrainian president said at a meeting with American editors in Washington, reports CNN. Some Russian military officers report that fighters from the Wagner PMC have already arrived on the eastern coast of the Kherson region. It is stated that their assault troops are now being distributed across sectors. There is no other confirmation of this information. But earlier, photos of the Wagner PMC appeared before being sent to Ukraine. I will note that in comparison with many other sectors of the front, especially with the Zaporizhia and Bakhmut sections, in the Kherson region the situation is more or less calm. The fighting is local in nature and mainly takes place on the Dnipro Islands between the left and right banks. Massive shelling is also being carried out on both sides. But in terms of the intensity of the fighting, this is clearly not Robotyne or Klishchiivka. Therefore, why they decided to send the Wagner PMC to the Kherson direction, if they were actually sent there, is not entirely clear. Is it possible that the Russians are preparing to cross the Dnipro, or, on the contrary, they expect that the river will be crossed by large forces of the Ukrainian armed forces? But so far there is little to indicate such options. By the way, I wonder in what status the Wagner PMC will return to the front. There were rumors that he would enter into contracts not with the Ministry of Defense, but with the Russian Guard. The other day, the State Duma of Russia already announced that they were preparing a bill to include volunteer formations in the Russian Guard. True, they deny that this is being done under the Wagner PMC. The United States will send long-range ATACMS missiles to Ukraine for the first time, NBC News reported, citing 3 American officials and a representative of Congress. President Joe Biden told his Ukrainian counterpart Zelensky that the United States will provide a small number of long-range missiles, the publication's interlocutors said. Officials did not say when the missiles would be delivered or when a public announcement would be made. Friends, considering what is happening in my country, this channel is now my only source of income. If you are able to support me financially, I will be very grateful.